Coming, trying to cut in, rolled it in front of it. Darryl Sittler.
It is Gilmore waiting around the net, waiting. He's open.
Sundin is up there. 2 goals on the night. Matt Sundin wins the game with 500 in this terrific career. Leafs back quickly. Nylander moving in, works it across in front. He scores! Matthews!
And that's just a taste of Toronto's hockey history. The Maple Leafs are marking a major birthday today, 100 years since the team played its very first game. And if you're wondering, Toronto lost that game to Montreal.
Hockey night in Canada. Tonight, Toronto Maple Leafs and Detroit Red Wings.
Here's a look at the first Maple Leafs broadcast on TV back in 1952. The Leafs were coming off a Stanley Cup championship, but overall, it's been a century of ups and downs for Toronto's hockey club. They've won 13 cups, but the last one was way back in 1967. With new stars like Austin Matthews, though, Leafs fans are hoping the long drought will end soon. And the Leafs will celebrate today's anniversary with an afternoon game at the Air Canada Centre in Toronto. And the CBC's Greg Ross is there, and he joins me now live. So, Greg, what do the Leafs have planned for this special game?
Well, first of all, the fact that they're playing it at a 2 o'clock start, that's very rare. You don't see that in Leafland very often. They're often evening games. So you're going to have a lot of children here. There's no doubt about that. A lot of kids skipping school. Look at these guys. You're supposed to be in school right now.
Yes.
Does your teacher know that you're at the Leaf game?
I hope so.
Wow. They still have their school uniforms on under their Leaf jerseys. That's dedication. Right from school, right to the Air Canada Centre to watch this game. The Leafs are also going to be wearing an alternate jersey, and this is what it's going to look like. This is the original jersey that the Toronto Arenas wore back in 1917. They weren't called the Toronto Maple Leafs, they were called the Toronto Arenas. And did you get this online? Where did you get this shirt?
Yeah, it was an early Christmas present to myself, and absolutely bought it online, and wanted to kind of commemorate the day.
So, Andrew, the first ever game back in 1917 was a game played between the Toronto Arenas and the Montreal Wanderers. And you mentioned the Wanderers won that game 10-9, but the Toronto Arenas went on to win the Stanley Cup that year, so I guess they got the last laugh. But I mean, a lot has changed since then. I mean, it was a different game back then. Are you guys excited about going in here to watch this game today?
Sure. 100th anniversary, you can't miss it. Yeah. Being a member, subscriber for 35 years, this is the pinnacle day that you want to be here as a Maple Leaf fan, for sure.
So as you can see, Andrew, lots of excitement here as these fans are starting to file in to watch this game, which is getting underway very shortly.
10-9. That is one high-scoring game. Let me ask you, though, Greg, what does this mean for the team and its fans to be around for 100 years? And we certainly know half of that has been spent without a Stanley Cup.
Absolutely. You know, I guess you could say that only 2 teams can say that they've been around for 100 years, the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Montreal Canadiens. But only one team can say that they played in that first ever game that still exists out of the 31 teams today, and that's the Toronto Maple Leafs. They played as the Toronto Arenas, which you will see on the ice today. But, you know, there have been a lot of lean years in the last 50 since that last Stanley Cup in 1967. We had to go through the Harold Ballard years here in Toronto. There weren't a lot of winning Leaf teams in those years, but there have been some bright spots, and I think one of the biggest bright spots is this current crop of young Leafs players that they're hoping leads them into the next century, led by Austin Matthews.
All right, Greg, well, thank you. That is the CBC's Greg Ross at the Air Canada Centre in Toronto.